Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to a brand new episode of Boss Babes. I'm your host, Brittany Baldi. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know, we have great episodes monthly, and today joining me is the ever gorgeous Kim Zayotti, and she is actually the CEO and founder of this super cool company that I work alongside all the time. They are called Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment, and you're going to learn all about this amazing company. It's actually female centric, which I think is super cool because, of course, this podcast is a female lifestyle sports podcast. So, Kim, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm great. Thanks, Brittany. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate your kind introduction, and I'm excited to likewise talk to another woman in the industry and share some fun stories.
Super excited. I'm actually rocking my Believe in Boston sweatshirt right now. Super excited for the NHL to be starting up very shortly. And of course, football season is wrapping up. But let's just hop right into it. So you are actually from Hull, Massachusetts. You are a local girl at heart, just like I am myself. You grew up in Hull, very close to the beach. What was it like growing up in Hull, Massachusetts and being so close to the beach?
Well, it was a really great place to grow up because it's a small town. Wasn't a lot, I think, for kids to get into trouble with, and we always had the thing like, don't do anything wrong because there's only one road in and one road out, and by the time you do something wrong, you're going to be in trouble and caught by the police on the road out. But spent our lives going to the beach. I never, as a kid, really went to camps or anything because I was 5 houses off the ocean, and so our day consisted of getting up and packing for the beach. And even though we were only 5 houses away, there was no going home during the course of the day. It was you're at the beach from 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon until your mother says it's time to come home. And that's what really June, July, August, and into the beginning of September was like for us. And other than that, it was just a small, quiet town. When I was there as a kid, a lot of the homes were still summer. So half of our street was only full-time residents. So it was fairly quiet, and it was a great place to grow up. It was, you could play in the streets because there wasn't a lot of traffic and all of that stuff. So it was fun.
And what was your family life like? Did you have any brothers and sisters growing up? I understand that you guys really enjoyed going to Point Sebago in Maine for a vacation spot.
Yeah. So I have a younger sister who's 3 years younger than me and a brother who's 13 years younger than me. A little bit of a surprise with him. But I also grew up in the same street as my cousins. They lived just 4 houses down the street. So even though we were cousins, we were more like siblings. We vacationed together. We went to the beach together. We did everything together. And we did. We used to go to Point Sebago every year, the week following school getting out, and our parents would drive us up there. And I remember thinking like it was so far away. Now I don't think it's far at all. We loved it because it was just an RV kind of camp. We didn't have campers, but you could rent, I guess, Winnebagos or whatever on site. And we had a lot of freedom that your parents would have movie nights. And so you could walk from your park, your spot where you were camping, and your parents, you couldn't really leave the facility. So we had a lot of freedom to do what we wanted to do, and we thought it was great. And there was all kinds of activities and, bingo and swimming and dance contests. I learned how to square dance there, which is really bizarro, but I remember it fondly. And I remember they had a dance contest, disco dance contest one night. I think I won that. I think I won ice cream sundae or something. So it was great memories.
I love that you enjoyed learning how to square dance there. In Point Sebago, Maine, I've actually vacationed there a few times. Were you guys into like going boating or going tubing? They're very well known for their lake, correct? Did you guys have a house like right on the lake?
Yep. So they have a lake there, and my dad used to tow the boat up, and we would water ski. So we did that, but they also had these, like, you could swim out to these different rafts and stuff, and you could rent paddle boats and you could rent canoes and all of that. But we did water ski and did a little bit of fishing. Again, there were so many activities. I mean, they literally had these schedules. I think that's why the parents loved it so much, because your kid could be scheduled from 9 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night. And I think you could even you could go to the snack bar and just say, I'm at campsite R42. So your parents basically were kidless for the week. I think that's why they loved it. So they kept the kids busy.
It sounds like an amazing time. And again, Maine is absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. For those of you guys that are listening and you're not from the Massachusetts or New England area in general, if you guys have never visited our home state of Massachusetts or Maine or any place in New England, definitely go check it out, especially if you love seafood, lakes, the oceans, you name it, we have it. We have mountains. Speaking of restaurants and great places to eat and whatnot, I know you were just talking about the snack bar. Where did you like to eat when you were a kid growing up in Hull, or actually even when you used to go vacation in Point Sebago?
When we were kids, it was just so different. I don't think families went out to eat as much as they do now. I remember there was a pizza place in Weymouth called the Naughty Pine. I don't know why this sticks in my head, but we used to go there as kids. And then my mother loved Chinese food, so we would go out to Chinese food lot at the Aloha restaurant in Hingham. But we didn't really go out that much. And then, as we got older and we're in high school, I think that's when things, changed. Because like in the 70s, it was a lot of parents got together at each other's houses. But now where I love to eat out, I try to take our kids out whenever we can get them, because I have a freshman in college and a freshman in high school. So they don't always want to hang with us, but I love to go out to dinner and there's so many great restaurants in the North End, but then I live on the South Shore, so some really great restaurants on South Shore too. Alba is one that's fairly newly opened. There's a location in Quincy, but one in Hanover now, so we love Alba. And Oro in Scituate is another one of our favorite places to go.
So. I love a bunch of different restaurants and foods, and as you know, we talk about game day eats towards the ends of the show, so I can't wait to hear about your game day eats. But I want to hear a little bit about Christmas. So I understand that Christmas was your favorite holiday as a kid. I'd assume it might be still your favorite holiday now. I think it's super cute that your mom used to go all out when you guys were kids, and you had so many freaking presents when you were younger that your husband, well, obviously at the time you guys were just dating, he literally walked in and was like, holy crap, I don't know if I can handle this right now. There's so many gifts, I can barely walk around. So kind of walk me through the steps of what it was like Christmas morning, maybe your husband walking in for the first time, and just what was that Christmas experience like as a kid growing up?
Yeah, my mom loved Christmas, and she loved to gift people. Like, she loved to give gifts. So she always wanted to make it like the most special holiday. Two things sort of happened. So the presents from my parents were always wrapped, but this was the one thing that I think a lot of people don't do today. Like, anything from Santa was unwrapped. It was just under the tree. It was overflowing. And as a kid, we never had a real tree because my sister had asthma, really bad asthma. So we had this white tree. Like, now they're kind of coming back into vogue, into fashion. But my mother used to just do this. She just was one of these people who just loved Christmas and would go all out. So we had this white tree, kind of looked like bottle brushes in a sense, but it had all these different color decorations and different color white lights, but all these different decorations. So it's really sparkly. And she always overdid it with the lights. So it was magical. And you'd come down the stairs and it would just be like the presents would be practically to the staircase. She just loved Christmas. And growing up, it was like that every year. And we didn't have a lot, but my mother always made sure that Christmas was special. I swear she started planning for Christmas in August. And when I first started dating my husband, the first official Christmas, because we started dating the first year, we were dating about a year, and he came over, and so I think my mom invited him to stay over Christmas Eve, I think. And I don't know, I must have stayed upstairs. He stayed in the spare bedroom, whatever. But I remember him coming downstairs and being like, holy crap. He couldn't believe it. He's never seen anything like it. He's like, this is insane. My mom had gotten him all these gifts, and he was so overwhelmed because he hadn't gotten anything I think he might have gotten something for me, and I don't think he bought for my siblings. It was such a new relationship, but he was so overwhelmed. And my mother was like, oh, and this is for you, Matt, and this is for you. And he was literally taken aback, because as a kid, he, maybe get 5 or 6 things, but he still to this day, will say that's one of his favorite memories of my mother, because she was just she loved him anyway. And so she was just beaming when she gave him all these gifts, and he was overwhelmed. And he's an only child, and his parents were divorced. So it was definitely, even being at, 30 years old, magical for him. So it was fun to share that with somebody who had never had that.
I think that is such a cute memory, especially of you guys first starting to date. Obviously, you guys are still married, which is super cute. So you guys have been together for a very long time. Do you have any memorable gifts that you remember as a kid, or maybe a special gift that you got for your husband at any point in time?
Special gifts as kids. Yeah, I remember I wanted this doll. I can't, I know it's similar to what we have now, Baby Alive. I wanted this doll as a kid, and I was like obsessed with it. So like if you put it on, I must have been like, I don't know, 7 or 8. So like if you almost put it on your hip, it almost like its arms and legs kind of wrapped around you. And I remember just wanting that more than anything and getting it. And I think I think you could feed it, and I think it could go to the bathroom too. So that was one thing. And then I remember being like, I must have been 13 or 14, was at that age where I was kind of like starting to get into clothes and stuff like that, and wanting these clogs. Like clogs were popular, these Mia clogs, and they were like, I remember just like at the time, they were like $50 or $60, which was a ton of money for kids' shoes back then, and wanting them in the worst way. And my mom was like, oh, they're kind of expensive. But I actually got them, and I just thought those things were the greatest things ever. Because I thought it was so like, clucking around the house and the clogs. I thought it was awesome. But I remember that. And for the gift for my husband that I've gotten him, let's see, 17 or 18 years ago, I bought him a Alex Duetto espresso machine, which is this Italian espresso machine. It's pretty big unit. It's I don't even know how to work the thing. Let's put it that way. And it's like, we bought an old Victorian, the house was practically falling down, we're trying to fix it, but we had the $1 million espresso machine. So it became this really big joke, but he loves it, and we still use it, and he takes care of it like it's his baby, shines it up every day, and he makes coffee in it, and he makes me coffee. But again, like, I know how to turn it on, but don't ask me how to, because you have to specially grind and, put the beans in and all. It's like, it's the real deal. I don't even know how to use the thing. It's not like a Keurig where you put the pot in and you push the button. It's way too intense for me, but makes awesome coffee.
Very cool. It sounds delicious. He obviously sounds like he enjoys his coffee machine, and you guys both love your coffee. And I love the fact that you just shared some memorable memories from you growing up in Hull, Massachusetts, and the fact that you enjoyed Christmas, and you guys still enjoy Christmas very much so. I want to hop right into this funny story. So here's a really funny story, guys, from Kim. She actually told me about it, and I thought it was so cute. In 3rd grade, she actually road tripped with her family to Nova Scotia, Canada. And while they were road tripping, it was her and her cousin in the back of her parents' pickup truck, which is super cute. And as she jokingly said to me, like, this would never happen nowadays. But I guess they were riding in the back of a pickup truck, and her dad made this like kind of makeshift box cover out of plywood. So that way, obviously, they stayed protected during the elements. And the funniest part about the whole thing is she said, I guess it started raining at one point. So they had to plug up some of the little wood knot holes with grape Hubba Bubba bubble gum so that they wouldn't get wet. And I guess you guys were like, you guys made your own string to hang up your wet Barbie doll clothes, which is super cute. So I kind of want to hear this like story from you, a little bit more details, but like, what was it like riding with your cousin in the back of a pickup truck, going to Canada? And it sounds like it might have been kind of cool.
My dad's family is from Nova Scotia. So my mother decided we were going to take this trip. I was in 3rd grade. We missed school to do it, but we didn't take my sister because, again, she had bad asthma. So I think they were worried that it might be really, because we were going to be staying in my Uncle Janalik's house up there, which it's a good thing because it was a very dusty place. My dad decided he was going to take the pickup truck. I don't know why. My mother wanted to be able to bring back driftwood or something, some random weird thing. And so he built this. It was like, an old Ford. It was green Ford pickup truck. And he built this box, and he painted it white on the outside, whatever. But he put in the inside a big piece of foam, foam about this deep, so we could lay on it in the back seat. Now, okay, so the doors, it had doors on it, but he left them open so we could get some sunlight. We drove the whole way to Nova Scotia in that thing. And then, like, I don't know, like the second day into the ride, I don't know how many days it took us to get there, probably 3 days, because we probably stopped. I don't know, whatever. And it started to rain, but we had brought like gum. We must have had like Twinkies and whatever in the back there. And we had our dolls, because we were like, back then everybody played dolls in 3rd grade. And it started to rain. So I distinctly remember chewing this grape Hubba Bubba gum and like plugging all these holes because the rain was coming in, because it was just plywood. So there was all these knots in the hole. Everything was getting wet. So we somehow, I don't know where we got the string. I don't know if it was rope or what it was. We made a clothesline back there, and our doll clothes had all gotten wet, so we were hanging them up. We were on the highway, standing up in the back of this pickup truck. So I was probably, third grade would be, 5, 6, I was 8, I must have been 8, and my cousin was 9. And so we were standing, I mean, it sounds like an absolute disaster. Like now I'd be horrified if my kids ever did this, worried that they would fly out of the back of the pickup truck. And so some guy was like tooting at my dad and made him pull over and was like, do you realize your kids are standing up back there? And so my dad got out and was like, you guys can't, you're going to have to like squish in the front if you can't like sit down and, it's so dangerous, whatever. So we got scolded for that, but I will never forget that. It was such a great trip. And then when we got to Nova Scotia, it was like, I don't know, it seemed like half the people up there, like some of the people didn't even have bathrooms, they had outhouses. So it was definitely an adventure. I definitely remember visiting some relatives that had outhouses, and I was like, this is weird. But I also remember being on a horseback riding with my cousin Pippi. They all had really strange names too. That was quite the adventure for a vacation, and we never went back after that. Since then, they've redone their houses, and it's a little more progressive. But I think my mom was like, after that trip, was like, I don't know, she didn't want to go back again. So, but it was fun.
It definitely sounds like it was a really fun experience, especially being so young at the age of 8 in third grade. Obviously, it was still very memorable for you if you're remembering it now. And I love the fact that you shared that story with the listeners. You guys are now listening to Kim Zayotti. She's actually founder of Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment and the CEO. She's all about sports. We love women in sports. So let's just hop right back into it, Kim. I understand that you attended Archbishop Williams High School in Braintree, Massachusetts. What I think is super freaking cool is the fact that you were a competitive figure skater when you were younger. So I want to hit upon that now. And I think it's really awesome that your idol as a kid, your sports idol, was the 1976 Olympic world champion, Dorothy Hamill. So let's discuss a little bit about Dorothy, why you were so much into competitive figure skating as a kid, and what that whole experience was like for you.
Yeah, so I skated at a rink in Cohasset, Massachusetts called Cohasset Winter Gardens. And I guess my mom just put me on skates when I was like 3 years old. And so I skated competitively for about 14 years. It was a tremendous experience. I learned, I think, a lot. I think it taught me a lot of great self-discipline. Because it's an individual sport, you really are just accountable to yourself. And if you're not doing well, it's because you're not doing what your coach told you to do. You're not practicing enough. You're not diligent enough and focused enough. It's a great sport to grow up in. And yeah, Dorothy Hamill was my idol. I remember at one point, I think it was maybe 4th grade or 5th grade, I actually got that Dorothy Hamill haircut. My dad actually took me to his barber shop in Quincy to get it. So I don't know that it was the best quality Dorothy Hamill, but I had it for about a year and then I let it grow out again. It wasn't really suiting me, but yeah, she was just, everyone just loved her. She was just, elegant on the ice, and she had her own style, that sort of like short little sassy bob that she had. So it was, and that kind of led a little bit into when I started to work in sports. I was a rink rat. I grew up in the rink. I worked in the snack bar. Most of my friends were from skating. So I was used to being around hockey and hockey players. And so when I got my first start into sports, it was in hockey, and it was an area that I was very comfortable with because I was just used to being around hockey players all the time. So I didn't really think anything of it, which I think was a good thing that actually worked in my favor, because I didn't really think of them as, celebrities in the sense. I treated them more like the guys that I used to work with and hang out with at the rink.
And how long did you actually compete for? I understand that you obviously were very much so into following and watching Dorothy compete when you were younger, but you yourself actually competed. So being that rink rat, as you describe it, which is super amazing, did you get to travel to different spots? Was it mainly in Massachusetts? Did you have
all around New England? Yeah, all around New England. And I competed about 13, 14 years. competitions all over. I was at the same era as Nancy Kerrigan, so I actually competed against her a few times. Obviously, she went to the Olympics and I didn't, so she was better than me. It was a lot of fun, and I loved the musicality of it. I definitely have a creative side to me. So, and I remember they had this one, some competitions would have this interpretation where they'd play music and then you would actually make up your own routine to it, right on the spot. They'd let you listen to it once, practice to the song once, and then each person went out and did their own interpretation to the music. And I love that particular element. I used to do really well to it. I don't know, I guess I just had that kind of creative side to me. So, but yeah, about 13, 14 years. And yeah, so I still have some of those medals somewhere in a shoebox in my basement, I think.
That's amazing. So I love the fact that it sounds as if figure skating kind of got you into the mindset of getting into the sports world, being around the ice so much, competing yourself, and then also, again, following Dorothy Hamill's career when you were younger. You currently are a sports attorney. So I want to learn a little bit about what exactly it means to be a sports attorney and how the heck did you even get into a career like that? Like, what the heck is a sports attorney? Like, what exactly do you do?
Yeah, so I'm atypical in the sense that I did not have a design or plan to be in sports when I was in college. I went to Boston College, graduated, started working in a law firm that did insurance defense, was contemplating being a litigator. Like I thought I wanted to go into, being a trial attorney. And I really loved what I was doing, but I decided to apply for law school. So I applied and got accepted and was looking for another job so I could make a little bit more money. My younger siblings were still headed off. My sister was headed into college at that point, and then my brother was still much younger. So my parents were kind of like, you're kind of on your own for this. So I was looking for a new job, and I took a job basically. I was working as a paralegal and I took a job as a legal secretary, thinking, well, this is kind of, am I a little overqualified for this? But it was so close to the law school and it was more money than what I was making. So I decided to take the position. I remember my dad saying to me, well, what's your ultimate goal? Like, do you have you want to get through law school? And if this is going to help you do that, then sometimes you have to make sacrifices. So I took the job, and it was the best thing I ever did because I ended up working for two young attorneys. One was just getting into sports representation, and the other one was doing tax and estate planning. And so I got some tremendous experience. But when I got to the firm, they were so excited that they had a young law student that was eager and interested to learn that I didn't really serve so much as a secretary as I did as like a law clerk. And so I got an incredible experience, but I was also like the kind of person I'd see something, I'd be like, oh, this is fascinating. Like, I want to learn about this. And so I would try to do things on my own. And then I remember going into the young partners that I worked for and saying like, oh, like this came in, but I did this, this, and this. And they'd be like, oh, great, you already did that. I kind of took the bull by the horn. So I was interested in learning. That's how I got into sports. And I worked at that firm for about 2.5 years. And then the guy that I was working for went to go for another law firm that had a small sports subsidiary. And so he said, will you come with me? And so I went with him. We were there for about 1.5 years, and that's when we got a call from Bobby Orr asking us if we would join Wolf Associates, which was, you kind of, how do you turn that offer down? So we went to work for Wolf, and Bobby was my boss. So
that is such an incredible story, and I kind of like how, again, going off the whole theme, I guess, with the ice hockey, the figure skating, it's like kind of like destiny in the sense that you always had a little bit of an interest in sports. Again, being a kid growing up in New England, I feel like we all kind of are into sports. We
Definitely.
are the city of champions. You have to be into sports. And of course, working alongside somebody like Bobby Orr and becoming a sports attorney, I think it's so incredible, especially, again, to hear about a woman. I love hearing women's positivity stories about being in the industry. And that probably sparked your interest. We're going to start talking all about Blue Sky Sports Entertainment. So Sam Baglioni, who I absolutely love, we actually met about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I believe at this point, at the Sweet Feet for Strikes event. I believe it was in Dedham, Mass. Correct me if I'm wrong. That event was absolutely amazing. We covered a couple more events, I believe one with Marcus Smart. Boston Celtics player. But Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment, you are actually the CEO and founder of that. For those of you guys that do not know what that company is or what it does, please listen in. It's a full service marketing and event management firm, and it's in the Boston area. So you actually work with a number of high profile clients and you work alongside a lot of their amazing charities. So kind of give me the backstory on why you got into starting your own company. I know that your dad actually owned his own business or has owned his own business. He actually sparked that entrepreneurial mindset in your mind. Yeah, let's discuss Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment.
Sure. So I when I was at Wolf, I was there for about 6 years, coming up on 7, and I had gotten married and I was pregnant, and I was sort of thinking like I could do this on my own. I definitely got the entrepreneurial spirit from my dad. He always would say like, you know, if you work for yourself, you know, it's incredible, opportunity to really feel self-fulfilled. So I had always thought, geez, you know, if at some point I could get to that position, I would love to do that. After I had my son, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do in terms of, you know, daycare and that sort of thing. So I don't know why, but I decided I was going to start a business with a brand new infant, being a brand new mom. But not sure I would advise someone to do that, but it worked out. And I, you know, was very lucky, very fortunate that I had a good stable of clients. And when I said I was leaving, they said, well, we want to come with you. So I was fortunate that I had clients that, you know, were willing to follow me into my new venture. And it was really, I guess, just, you know, you do a good job for them, and so they trust you, want to be able to continue that relationship with you. So I started Blue Sky about 17 years ago, and I've been very fortunate. You know, when I first started in the industry, there weren't as many women. I mean, now there's so much talk about diversity and inclusion, which is wonderful. And when I was at Wolf Associates, I was the first woman to get pregnant in 44-year history of the company. Like, they didn't even have a maternity policy, which was crazy to me, which they had created one once they found out I got pregnant, because I was the first woman that ever worked there that actually was going to have a baby. So, I mean, this was like in 2002. This wasn't like, you know, that long ago. I decided to start Blue Sky, and I was fortunate I had those clients that were willing to come with me. And, you know, really what I do and what I specialize is, I do have, you know, I am an attorney, and I am held to a different ethical obligation and standard in terms of representation of my clients. But what I focus on is everything that the player does off the field, off the ice. So endorsements and sponsorships and licensing, and if they, you know, literary contracts, if they write a book, or they go into media and work for Nessun, and their charitable endeavors, and anything that they would do that would normally not take place on the ice, on the field, on the parquet. And then, you know, that's kind of, I'm sort of like, oftentimes they have an agent who does their team contract, and then they have somebody like me that does their marketing. So I'm their marketing agent. I love that it's different all the time, and it's fast paced, and I get to use a little bit of my creativity. So I get able to use my law degree along with my creative side to find creative solutions and do some fun stuff. So I've been, you know, really lucky. I've been doing this a long time, and I still love it. So I'm blessed.
It definitely sounds like a really awesome career path, almost like you kind of paved your own way, in the sense that you kind of just like took all of your passions and sort of just formed them into one. I want to ask you, where the heck did the name Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment come from? Like, there has to be a fun, interesting reason why you came up with that cool name.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to come up with a name. I had a business partner when we first started the company. We really just kind of made a list of names, and Blue Sky just kept staying on the list. I did not want to be like, a lot of companies in this business are like, you know, I didn't want to be like KAZ company, like initials, and I didn't want it to be like Peak or Summit, because there are a lot of those kind of companies. But for me, like, Blue Sky signified a couple of different things. So a lot of sports are played outside, obviously football, baseball, soccer, lacrosse. So when you have a blue sky, that's like a great day. There's nothing better than playing in a bright blue sky. That was one part of the reason, but also, like, to me, blue sky connotes like happiness. I think of like a summer day, even as a kid, going to the beach with, the sky being that beautiful blue, it just makes you happy. So the happiness and tying in with sports being outside, obviously, hockey can be played outside, but it's not always, and basketball as well. As a kid, we always played basketball at the local park, but now obviously they're playing, professionally they're playing in arenas, but that's where the name came from, and it just kind of stuck. Every time we'd add a name and cross out names, Blue Sky kept staying on there. It made, to me, like, I'm like, oh, I just think of like happiness, like it's very sends positive messaging to me, and so I thought it would resonate with other people as well.
That's actually a really great response. I'm so glad that I asked that question because blue is actually one of my favorite colors. And I remember when I was younger in my 20s, whenever I went to do auditions, I clearly remember people always telling me, wear the color blue, it sticks out. So I do like the fact that you incorporated the color blue or the word blue into your name. It's very standout. And I do like that it kind of gives you those memories of being on the beach, growing up in Hull. And I know that you enjoy spending time in Nantasket Beach as well. Very cool name. And some of the people that you've worked alongside currently and in the past include great talented athletes like Cam Neely, Zdeno Chara, Bobby Orr, Brad Marchand, Carlton Fisk, Tim Wakefield, Doug Flutie, and many, many more. So I kind of wanted to hear from you, how exactly do you tailor specific events for athletes? Do you guys kind of work together? Do they come up with ideas and you guys kind of like tailor them as a team, or how exactly does it work? Like, say Carlton Fisk is like, hey, I have a great idea for an event. What do you think we should do? Or Bobby Orr's like, okay, I want to put together this great charity event. Do you have any ideas, Kim? How exactly does it go down?
Yeah, so we try to find something, first of all, an event that involves something that they would be passionate in. So Carlton, for many, many years, we ran a golf tournament for him down in Florida, where he loves golf. When he was not playing baseball, he would try to play golf, and now it's still a sport that he can play. So we did the Fisk and Friends golf tournament down in Sarasota, where he spends most of his time now. And then the various Hall of Famers that he's been friendly with over the years would come down and participate in the golf tournament. So we try to find something that they will love and have fun with and be passionate about, and then try to make sure that we're selecting charity that fits what their personal passion lies. So for Carlton, the charity that we chose was a Florida charity that basically serviced kids with mental challenges. He has a grandson who has Down syndrome, so he really wanted to focus on that. He's been involved with Special Olympics for many years, and his wife has as well. So finding an organization that was a good fit for him that we could support was key and critical. So that's generally what we try to do. Did the same thing with when we first started the Mayo Bowl, which then became Sweet Feet for Strikes as Gerard Mayo retired, but wanted to try to find an event that would be incredibly, fun, something that the players could invite their teammates to get involved with, but then also partner with a charity that, in that case, we wanted to pick a hospital that would service children from a demographic region that would be similar to which he grew up in and his wife grew up in. And so we chose Boston Medical Center. They've been an incredible partner for us for many years and been able to raise a lot of money and do a lot of good for kids. I mean, their motto is exceptional care without exception, to be able to provide some of these children with pediatric care that they need or wouldn't necessarily be able to get has been very rewarding and fulfilling. And Gerard was amazing and raised such an incredible amount of money for that organization. I know that they're eternally grateful for that. So
it definitely sounds like it is a team effort, both with Blue Sky and also the actual athlete themselves. I love how you guys work together to sort of formulate what types of events and charities you guys should work alongside. And you guys have raised so much money for so many different charities. We will be speaking about that a little bit later. Before we get into that, Sam told me a really cool story involving Flutie Flakes. So, girl, I need to hear the story about Flutie Flakes. What the deal is with these Flutie Flakes?
Yeah, so that was crazy. I'm like, oh, that's, people are always like, oh, tell us about Flutie Flakes. I guess that's my claim to fame. But when we first came up with the concept and the idea of Flutie Flakes. I had seen that Jaromir Jagr had done this peanut butter, this branded peanut butter, because I guess in Czech Republic, where he's from, they don't have peanut butter, or it's not common. At least back then it wasn't. And I just thought, like, Doug was coming back to the NFL at that point from the CFL, so he was playing in Buffalo, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to work with him because people love to root for the underdog, and Doug has always been an underdog due to his size and style of play. So I pitched him the idea. He loved the idea. We had partnered with a private label company to do this. We initially thought maybe we would do frozen pizza, but when you're doing a product like this, you want to choose something that people buy often and a lot. And cereal, they buy every week for the most part. People who buy cereal buy it every week, especially if you're the kids. We opted to do cereal. We came up with the concept and the type, and he, liked a particular, Frosted Flakes. So we tried to do something similar to that. And so we came up with the name, and it just sort of took off. Like, timing is everything. Doug was playing really well in Buffalo. But also too, like, it kind of took a life of its own. I had a friend who did product placement in Hollywood who was also a graduate of BC, so he helped us get it into placement because he was a fan of Doug's. And so it was on, on the counter in Everybody Loves Raymond, and in the break room in ER, which was a big hospital show at the time. And then Jimmy Johnson stomped on the box, so that was on, Meet the Nation on Sunday. They were talking about that. So it became like a life of its own a little bit. We ended up selling 2.5 million boxes. We were outselling Fruity Flakes in the Buffalo market. We also sold it here in the New England market, but that was more of like a regional kind of deal, but it did extremely well. And Doug donated a portion of proceeds back to the Flutie Foundation. He has an autistic son, so that was a tremendous, not only was it a fun project to work on, and we sold a lot and got a lot of publicity, and it was super cool to be working on, but he did a lot of good by donating back, and a lot of people benefited from it. So it was like a win-win for everybody.
It sounds like a really amazing situation where you were just like, hey, I have this great idea. We're going to do something called Flutie Flakes, and we're going to donate some of these proceeds, create a great cereal for families. Was there like a specific flavor of these Flutie Flakes, or did you have
just like a sugared cornflake, which is, again, you try to appeal a little bit more to a broader audience. So we tried not to be like, obviously we didn't want to do brand because kids don't really like brand flakes. Sourcing a company to work with to produce this for us, one of the things was like, we wanted to make sure it was going to be crispy enough and didn't get soggy in the milk. So that was kind of a big thing. We had to go through a few testings to make sure that we liked the product. It definitely kind of took on a life of its own, and it was so cool to be like waking up and hearing, oh, it was here and it was there, and somebody else picked it up and took off, and it was exciting. It was a fun thing.
That is amazing. You guys are now listening to Kim Zayotti. She's actually the founder of Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment. You guys are listening to her talk all about being a woman in sports, growing up right in Hull, Massachusetts, being a sports fan, becoming a competitive figure skater as a kid, and kind of being into the sport from watching one of her idols, Dorothy Hamill, as a child. I love hearing all about the fact that you were a sports attorney. You currently are still a sports attorney, and you started your own company, and you've worked with so many amazing, talented people and charities. You guys know that the BosBabes Sports Podcast is all about how athletes give back both on and off the field, which is why you all know that I love working alongside Blue Sky Sports, and I'm so happy to have Kim on here today. Although it's very hard nowadays having events live, a lot of people are doing virtual races and whatnot to raise money. So, Kim, I wanted to ask you, we are here again. The BosBabes Sports Podcast loves talking about how athletes give back, and it is a lifestyle sports show. So we talk about everything outside of sports. You guys work alongside of the Travis Roy Foundation, the Cam Neely Foundation. You work with Boston Medical Center, the One Mission, and so many more. So many, in fact, that I can't even name them all. But how rewarding is it setting up these types of incredible events and being able to hand out a check to, for example, the Boston Medical Center, and knowing that this money is going to such a great cause?
I mean, I think that's really these athletes. We're very fortunate. We're in a market where our athletes are really our celebrities in New England, and they're using, so many of them are using their platform to do good. And that is just, for me, I feel so blessed that the people that my clients that I work with are good people. They have kind hearts. They want to give back. They want to make an impact on the communities that they live in. And I just can't, I mean, for us, that's kind of, that's the fun stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes in terms of the day-to-day stuff that can be just getting deals done and stuff. That's fun too, but it's fun in a different way. To actually put these events together and see them come together and raise, $400,000 sometimes at a whack, especially to these various charities, that is just so impactful and helping the individuals that need it, as much as they do. I mean, we've worked with the Joe Andruzzi Foundation too, and they do tremendous work helping to support cancer patients deal with the financial burdens of cancer, because cancer is a very expensive thing to have happen to your family. Obviously it affects the individual physically, but it can really be devastating on the financial burden on a family. So to be able to assist them in any way to help them raise more funds is a blessing. It's really something that I never thought 25 years ago that I would have the ability to do, but it's very, very rewarding. And there's nothing better when you get after the end of an event and you're able to share with the world how much money you raised. Whether it's 10,000 or 410,000, it's still amazing. And to know that you can improve others' lives we're fortunate that we can do that.
And I know, as we both have mentioned, you have worked with a number of great athletes, a number of great charities. Is there any event in particular that sticks out to you that's the most memorable, whether it be past or present? I know we're going to be talking about upcoming future events shortly, whether it be working with a particular client, like Bobby Orr, or a specific event.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple. So we have one event we do for the Travis Roy Foundation. It's a Boston Wiffle Ball Challenge that takes place typically in June at Boston University, and it's a wiffle ball tournament. Super fun. We generally have 300-400 people in attendance. That's one of our favorite events because it's in the summer, it's outside, and that's a great event. We love doing that because we get to see so many different people getting involved and, raising funds for their teams, and the corporations being behind them. So that's one. But the other one, Mayo Bowl, I think will always be my favorite. Kind of just, I think, because I started it with Gerard. We came up with the idea and really built it from, his rookie season to, when he ended up retiring, and we're kind of hoping he might come back and be involved with it again. I know he's coaching with the team, but was tremendous. And I think that was one of my favorite, I think, because Chantel, his wife, was very involved in that as well. And they're just kind and giving people. But the special part about that was that Gerard is such a leader in that locker room that he really was able to get the entire team to take part in it. So, one year we had, 45 Patriots players in attendance, which was crazy because you only have 20 lanes. So we had, 2 and 3 guys in each lane with the corporate team. So that, I think, was our most memorable event. And I think that year we raised almost $500,000 one evening from 6 to 9:30 at night, which was absolutely incredible. And it's so fun. And the guys had such a blast, and everyone was, having a few cocktails and bowling, and the corporate sponsors were thrilled, but super fun. And, that particular night, Tom Brady was in attendance and Randy Moss was in attendance. Obviously, Gronk and Edelman and all those guys were there. It was just great to see everybody coming together, having a great time, but most importantly, raising funds for this pediatric unit at Boston Medical Center that really needed it. I mean, one of the things about BMC is that a lot of times when kids come in and they have a broken arm, people don't understand that not only are they fixing their arm, but they're actually trying to assist the family in many other ways. Oftentimes they get a prescription for food as well because they have a food bank there. And that was one of the things that really resonated with me and Gerard when we went in to visit, because you can give a kid a cast, but if they're not eating healthily and their body's not able to heal properly, then ultimately it's going to take them longer to heal, or maybe they're going to end up with another broken bone because they're malnutrition. That still will always have a special place for me as Mayo Bowl. So
that is so incredible that you guys are able to, at times, be able to raise sometimes close to $500,000 just in one night while doing something fun. So I think it's super cool. Again, I have attended a couple of your events in the past, and I will say firsthand with the Boss Babes that these events are literally so much fun. There's always A+ people in attendance. It's always very well put together, and literally, like, your company is doing so many great things, and I'm so happy to be interviewing you today and finding out more details about your company. And speaking of events, I know that you have some upcoming events, and I know that a lot of them, unfortunately, are virtual because of the pandemic. But I know that you do have a virtual appearance coming up with Kevin Folk. You guys are also planning the Boston Wiffle Ball Challenge, which maybe if I'm in the area and if it's live, maybe I can come attend that and help out at it. You guys are working on Games for Good. So let's talk about some upcoming events that you guys are currently working on for Blue Sky.
Yeah, so our guys have been very busy. We're trying to, there's a lot more virtual appearances that are happening. It's certainly a new world for everybody. We're trying to make them as engaging as we can. Oftentimes if they're doing an appearance for a corporation, we try to tie in, we send them items to sign so that those items can be sent by the corporation to their client. So it has a little bit more of a realistic touch and feel to it as opposed to just from a virtual sense. So Kevin's got something coming up tomorrow. And we are in the planning stages for Wiffle Ball Challenge. We're hoping we'll be back in person. We did have to do it virtual this summer. We ended up doing a virtual home run derby, which ended up being a tremendous success. And people had a lot of fun with it. We created some new elements and asked people to, get up to the plate and, try to emulate your favorite Red Sox player over the years, whether it was Nomar redoing his gloves or Kevin Youkilis in his stance. People had a lot of fun with that. And, if we have to do virtual this year, we will, but we're hoping we can be back in person. And Brittany, we would love to have you come, and we will definitely make you, put you on a team, and you will have to actually play. So
count me in, Kim. Count me in.
So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. And then, we're thinking that Games for Good might actually live beyond this year. We basically pivoted the bowling event to a virtual game show where we did a Family Feud style event. It was so much fun. The players loved it, and they really ragged on each other a lot. It was pretty hysterical. It was very well received. We've done a lot of virtual stuff, and so the feedback we've gotten is just that this is one of the best virtual events that they've been a part of. So we're actually thinking that we might do both next year. So we're in the process of trying to narrow that down and figure out timing, because obviously we don't want to do them too close together because they're both benefiting the same charity. But that was really fun, where the players were at home and they were participating in Family Feud, and they were on their couches with their kids and their wives, and people got the chance to see a little bit of glimpse into what their life was like, at home. So that was fun.
It all sounds like you guys are working on some great events, both virtual and hopefully live. Count me in for the Wiffle Ball Challenge. I would love to be a part of it. Obviously, you guys are raising out this great money. And how can fans, like say a fan of Kevin Folk or a fan of Marcus Smart or a fan of Bobby Orr, wants to either attend one of these events or donate to these events? Is there a specific website or a specific link? Basically, where can people find out about these great events? Obviously, probably directly on your website, but I know you have social media. Shout out your information for people that are interested in learning more about Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment and what events you guys have coming up.
Definitely on our website, which is blueskysc.com. But if you type in Blue Sky Sports Boston, we'll pop right up. But we also generally, each event will have its own website. So, Sweet Feet for Strikes or Games for Goods will have its own website. But we also have a big social media presence. So whether on our Instagram, our Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, we do have everything going on with our athletes. And even if you just want to hear what they have coming up, whether it's an appearance or any kind of event that you can want to get involved in, whether it's from a charitable base or just want to hook into what's going on with them, we post all the time on our social media. And it's I think our Instagram is at @bluesky_sports. But again, if you type in Blue Sky Sports, we pop right up on everything. And That's a great way to kind of keep up to date with all the athletes that we're working on, everything that they're doing off the field, off the ice, with their fans and from charitable endeavors. And a lot of them actually have information on our website what their preferences are in terms of charities. If you have a specific client, a specific athlete that you have a fondness for and you want to give or contribute to their charitable endeavors, it'll say right on our website what that charity is.
Awesome. So you guys heard it here first from Kim herself. You guys are more than welcome to check out their website and their social media to keep up to date on everything that they have going on, both virtual and hopefully, again, events start picking up in person. Please check out their website. And let's chat a little bit about the future of Blue Sky Sports. I understand that your son, which is super amazing, your son is attending college at BC. For those of you guys that don't know what BC is, if you're not from the area, that is Boston College. He's actually interning at Blue Sky. So what is your future for Blue Sky Sports?
Exciting to have Harrison in the office. I never thought that this day would come. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do for the rest of his life, which is hard to know as being an 18-year-old. He is a freshman at BC. But where we want to continue to grow, love that we're a female-owned business, and our staff, other than our interns right now, is all female. It's not as if we're just discriminating against men, but I've often found that those applying for the position, you have to be a great multitasker to work in this industry, and women have a tendency to be great multitaskers. So love to continue to grow slow and steady. I like to say that we have a pretty good foothold on the New England marketplace, so I'd like to continue to maintain that and continue to grow our client base. I mean, for me, it's less about geography and more about the clients. Love the people part of my business. We have some incredible guys that are so just good people, like Tim Wakefield, for instance, great guy, but also incredibly charitable, always has been. And so it's really about the people for me, continuing to grow our client roster with really good character, Boston, New England, and athletes based across the country.
Well, best of luck to your company. Again, I love that you are a female-centric company, just like the BosBabes Sports Podcast, of course. And I've actually had the pleasure of having some of your clients on. Recently, I had on strongman competitor Rob Kearney. Noelle Lambert I've actually had on twice. And I don't know if you guys work alongside Famita, but I recently interviewed both Noelle and Famita together right before she got honored with the L'Oreal Women of the Year Award, which is super freaking cool. I'm so excited for her. Also had on Joe Juan Williams. Obviously, he's an NFL player. So I've had the pleasure of speaking with a number of your clients and becoming friends with some of them, which is great. They are great people, as you just mentioned. They are definitely quality people. Again, guys, you guys are now listening to the BosBabes Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Baldi. You guys are now listening to Kim Zayotti. She is the CEO and founder of Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment. Wishing you the best of luck with Blue Sky, of course. I can't wait to continue to work alongside of you guys as well. I want to hear about some of your fun facts. I know, again, we've been talking all about everything involved in your life, and I understand you love traveling to Europe. Where do you like to go to Europe when you're traveling, when you are able to, of course? And I understand you enjoy gardening, and it's not food. You like to garden flowers.
Yes. I love to travel to Europe. It's our favorite thing to do. And we've been taking our kids there every year for like the last, 13 years. It's tricky that we can't travel this year. We'll hopefully be able to get back to that, not too distant. But we've been to Italy 4 times and France 3 times and Portugal and Spain and England and Ireland. And where else am I forgetting? Oh, we went to the Netherlands last year. So I just love to travel and experience new cultures and new foods. I've been very lucky that we've been able to do that and expose our kids to it. If anybody asked me to go to Europe, I'd go anywhere. I'd go. On my bucket list are Croatia and Greece. And when I'm not working and I'm not at the beach in the summer, I love to garden. Love to, I have a big perennial garden, and I'm not one for really growing cucumbers. And I do plant some tomatoes for my husband, but I'm definitely more into flowers and perennials. And so I like to do a lot of flowers that I can cut for like vases and arranging flowers. So that's kind of my passion. I definitely have a little bit of a green thumb that I get from my mom.
Love the fact that you traveled to Europe with your family, and it sounds like you enjoy gardening. Now let's discuss some game day eats. You know, here on the Boss Babe Show, for those of you that are listening, we love asking our special guests all about game day eats. So Kim, I don't know if you like to make something special for your hubby and the kids, or if it's just you and your clients hanging out, or if you're chilling at the beach. What do you like to pack for your snack? Are you watching football Sunday? What are your game day eats?
Okay, so I am going to admit that I don't cook at all. My husband does all the cooking, and he's amazing. Like, it's such a passion for him that I'm totally spoiled. So he does the cooking, but and he's like really incredible. My friends all tell me I'm so spoiled, which I am. So, but definitely football season, he'll make his own pizza, but he does like his own dough, his own sauce, special cheese he only gets from one place. I don't cook. I do the cleanup, and I definitely give lots of compliments. Let's put it that way. But my husband is the cook in the house, and he's amazing. So my kids are totally spoiled as well.
So we got to give a shout out to the hubby for making those amazing game day eats. And positive pop. I want to hear all about your positive pop. Obviously, you have such a great spirit and natural light about you, especially creating a company that loves to give back to the community in such a big way, consistently. What is your positive pop?
I would say music is definitely a positive pop for me. You know, especially like on Saturday when I get up, if I'm getting ready go for a walk or I'm taking the dog out, whatever. Motown, I love some good old Motown. Ain't Too Proud to Beg is one of my favorite songs ever. And I definitely love, you know, some good 80s disco music. With, you know, to kind of get your little pep in your step. And then besides that, I'm a huge country music fan. So anything that's Eric Church, Miranda Lambert, Thomas Rhett, those are my three peeps, and I definitely all over that. But music for me is my positive pop.
Is it the one that goes, ain't too proud to beg?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I cannot carry a tune, so therefore I'm not going to sing it.
I can't sing either.
yeah, that is definitely the one.
I love that. That's a good song. I love that one, and I really like the song that goes, "Why don't you build me up, buttercup, before you let me down." I love that one too.
That's a good one too.
I can't sing, but I do love your positive pop, that you love to listen to good music. It puts you in a good mood. And before we wrap up the show, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the Boss Babes Lifestyle Sports Podcast. Fully enjoyed having you on here, and I really hope that we get to do some either virtual or live events together very soon. And where can people find you on social media? Of course, we want people to be able to follow both you personally, if you're interested, or just Blue Sky Sports.
Yeah, I'm at Kim Zayotti. Zayotti is such a weird name that there's no other Kim Zayottis out there, so it's really easy to find me. I'm like the only one in the world. And then again, for Blue Sky, it's at Blue Sky _sports for our Insta. And then I think it's the same for Twitter as well. It's again, Blue Sky Sports is we always pop up, so it's really easy to find us. But thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. It's always been, I've appreciated your support of our clients and their charitable initiatives, as what giving back is just as important. And I love that, you know, you're a young female in the business and you're making your way and doing a great job. So I'm always happy to support women that are in the sports world for sure.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kim. And you guys can follow the Boss Babes, of course, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, please subscribe to us on both Spotify and iTunes. We are on iHeartMedia as well. We have great guests on constantly, and we look forward to 2021 having amazing people on our sports podcast. So again, Kim, thank you so much. Everybody, please go follow Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment online, and let's keep giving back to the community and being positive. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thanks, Brittany. Take care.